there.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to California in a couple of weeks, so I'm going to get away from this for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot for it to be still snowing in April, right?
Well, yeah.
Mm.
Sometimes we get snow in July. Weird things
I'm
happen.
sure. That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, welcome. And if you're listening to this recording, welcome to you as well. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you are in the world. We're covering quite a few continents here on this afternoon's call for us in Dubai. And today's conversation chat is really about managing weight. Manage your body so that you stay within a comfortable zone of, as I mentioned before, I don't like to talk too much about weight, but it does make a big difference, right? I think if you just pop on a few kilos here and there, then that's still, it's manageable. But when you start to, over periods of time in your life, you start to put on weight where it's skyrocketed very quickly. So it could be, for example, this is not Nikki, that she hasn't put hardly any weight on her pregnancy, but there's that three times if we where you can gain fat cells in your body. One is at the very, very age between 0 and 5. And actually, through those times of your life, we want children to lay fat foundations because actually that also helps to create bone strength through that time. So, often when you look at are we all still here? My apologies. I seem to have just dropped out. So going back to, just let me check that we are good here. Yeah. Going back to, when you're a child between the ages of 0 and 5, those fat foundations are really quite important for us to gain and to set our whole system and body up. Then the second time is through puberty. So puberty is quite a crucial time, I think, of laying foundations, particularly for things like bone and muscle. So I often say this to my teenagers in the house is what happens in the way that you treat your body right now is going to be the foundation for life, because these are lifelong habits that you're setting. And particularly for teens, they love to eat out, they love to eat fast food, they love to eat sugar, they love to eat quick hand food, and they're always hungry. So it's quite a challenge through this time, particularly if you've got children of this age, to make sure that the habits that they set are super good for them. Doesn't mean that they can't stray, but once they hit puberty, that is a time that, for example, if teens are not active or they're eating too much fast food, they can hormonally change their body. They can change the cellular information that's happening in the body, and the fat cells lay down. And then actually those fat cells can be quite tricky to move and shift. Very difficult to convince or to tell a teenager this. But this is, I think, super important, whether or not you've got children of your own or you work with children, because I think these are the foundations that we want to teach our kids and get them ready for life. Then you've got the third time, which is through pregnancy. And through pregnancy is also a time of where you can lay extra fat cells. But the challenging thing is to understand that in the past we would talk about tissue in the body like it was like fat was just fat, and then muscle was the one that burnt the energy. But actually what we now understand a little bit more about fat cells is that there is a lot of information in fat cells, and that fat cells can change cellular changes in the body, can change information in the body. And we also now we know now a little bit more about fat cells, that there are different types of fat cells. So we have your brown fat and you have your white fat. So all of this comes together in a big roundabout sort of fashion where I don't want to get too technical on you, but what I really want you to understand is that this weight management and being able to control your body so that you feel happy with body every single day is not just something that can be a quick
We've lost you, Zosh. I need to go and sit near the Wi-Fi.
I'm back. I'm so sorry. I keep dropping out. Are you all there? Fantastic. I just realized I'm talking to myself yet again. So, when we look at weight management, how do we get to a state where suddenly we put on more weight than we actually want? Of course, the simplest one is just simply overeating and over drinking. I have to tell you this funny story. I used to present with this great guy when I was doing all my Pilates training in the UK many years ago. And he used to work answers, and he always used to say to me, I've got put on a lot of weight because I've got back pain and I can't exercise. And we'd often go out for lunches and dinners, and he loved to drink a lot. And I would always think to myself, yeah, I get the back pain, but I'm not sure if your habits are that fantastic. And then many years later, I saw him again at another convention. I said to him, my gosh, you look amazing. And he said, yes, there's this incredible fact that if you eat and drink too much, you put on weight. And he said, it's not rocket science, and I just loved him, and he looked amazing. I said, it's quite, at that early stage, it can be quite simple, right? But then you have also people who have put on weight, but there's been a lot of other health issues that have come into play. And so that could be stress, could be emotion, could be trauma. It could be some sort of health, something has happened health-wise that then has debunked you a little bit. You could have had cancer, there's been many things, right? So I think when you're, particularly if this is for you or when you're talking to clients, I want you to be a little broader in your understanding why we need to control weight, why people get their weight out of control. Why do they put on adipose tissue, which is fat? Why does this happen? This, I think, for all of us is to ask yourself these questions: is what went wrong? What happened? And you can answer that yourself. If I sort of said to you now, think about a time where you put on weight. This could be you right now. Think.
Did we lose her?
Yeah, she keeps dropping out.
Oh, okay. Let me try to.
She needs to go and sit on the Wi-Fi connection.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
No.
please. I think she's having internet issues. Keeps dropping out.
She lives in Dubai. Like, this is supposed to be.
I know, that's where I am. That's where I am. So sometimes it happens, but
Yes.
I'm not sure what provider she's on.
Right.
It
Okay.
shouldn't be that bad.
Maybe she's routing through Vietnam through my house.
If
Let me just try to get
she's
her.
using the VPN, it will be better, but I don't know.
Okay, I'm just messaging her now. Sorry, guys. Okay, I've got her on WhatsApp, so she's on her way back. We might pause the recording.
Back on. Oh. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so I think the thing is we were just chatting very much about assessing what's gone on and what's gone wrong. And so today really is for me to get you to think, what can you do to support, to change the stresses, if that makes sense. And I was explaining this to a lady early this morning, that if you've got a couple of kilos either side, where that maybe you had a little bit of indulgence on the weekend, maybe you went to New York and you had a few hot dogs, you had a few whatever you did, then you know that you're my. I'm not saying.
I
you
promise
could,
I had no hot
but
dogs on the weekend.
things like that.
All vegan.
I don't know why I associate. I don't associate hot dogs with New York. That's a bit crazy. But
Every
you
street's
can
hot here.
adapt then, right? That's quite easy. Exactly. Or pizza. There's pizza everywhere. But in that case, you can adapt quite easily. And if you're an exerciser and somebody who regularly exercises, you can also adapt to make those changes. However, I think that the biggest challenge is when the system inside is really mucked up. Like when you've really created years upon years of the same stimulus that is not in a positive way. Then we I don't want to say we're in trouble, but we have to do some serious work to backtrack. And you actually do have to do serious work. And I think, it's a challenging thing when people want to lose weight, because when you're young, and I hate to say this because it is very true, when you're young, if you haven't totally stuffed up your system, it's a lot easier to reboot. But as you get older, you think cells getting tired and not being as effective, and messages not getting into those cells because the cells are just, they're a bit toxic, right? So you're even if it's sort of like a little bit like my Wi-Fi today. You want to send a message, you want to tell the message, but it's just not going through. And you just keep trying again, you keep trying again. And think about the people that you know. If you think about yourself, you think there's been times where I've wanted to maintain a level of weight, or I've wanted to maintain a level of health as such. But today, specifically, I'm talking about weight loss. And specifically, I'm talking about weight gain. And what do you do when you are at that dire straits? And, interestingly enough, a lot of the times people that are quite severely overweight, or quite more, I don't want to say morbidly obese, but they're at that stage where they would be classified as obese, which, to be fair, is 27% body fat, right? So that actually is not that much. Yeah. I mean, yes, optimal would be about 20, but you would be surprised at what that level, what does that person look like that is already on that scale of obese? And what does that do to your body, right? So what does it do your function? So we know now that it's all linked, that the cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's is linked, all of the other endocrine issues are linked as well. So this then means we now need to do some serious backtracking to get ourselves feeling back on form again. And we need some help, right? We need some help. And so, if I sort of put it out there to my people here today, any questions or any experiences with clients or yourself, of where you try really hard, it hasn't happened or been successful. You've all frozen because I have a question.
Zosh,
Well,
I think we lost a little bit of what you just said at the end just then.
Yeah, what was the question?
Oh dear.
Oh no.
Come back,
Door
Zosh.
shut.
On such a good roll. Open that door.
I think she has to go sit by the router, seriously.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So the question I wanted to ask you is whether you have had experience with somebody who's really struggled with weight loss continually over years, has struggled with weight loss. If
My
anyone
mum.
has had any experience themselves, your mum, where are you? Who's that?
Yeah.
Who's that talking to me?
That's me, Nikki.
Nikki,
My
is
mum
that your
has
mum?
been
Yeah. So can you give us?
ever since I can remember. She has always struggled with her weight. I think our family generally kind of are built for Eskimo living, and we store the fat quite well. But she is always like, when just growing up, it was like this diet, that diet, milkshake diet, cabbage soup diet, and it's only really kind of really radical stuff which you know is not good for her, that loses the weight, and then, you know, again, just slowly goes back on again. So she's always in this cycle. And it's been really hard to watch, and it's also kind of it's hard for me. Like, I have also, like, I do have a tendency to put on weight if I eat too much and if I don't exercise, and, you know, the usual stuff. And I did used to be kind of fitter for myself, but like a skinnier version, and technically on the doctor scales I am obese, but I don't consider myself obese. But at the same time, I don't know what's going on inside in terms of how you manage you know, the things that you said, like how you know, steer away from heart disease or steer away from I don't
Exactly.
I think I have a healthy balance of food and versus movement. Saying that, I need to go swimming today. But yeah, it's difficult because I don't know, you can't, it's a minefield of knowing where to start, and seeing my mum just try this, try that, try this, and never really finding the one that is more like lifestyle rather than a diet. It's just frustrating.
And totally. And I think this is what's interesting, is where and this is where the fitness world has left me a little clouded, because it's always like, you're not exercising enough, you're not eating the right food, and that's why you are here. But you know what? There's a lot of fuzz that goes on between. So when you're talking about your mum, I'm already thinking that she doesn't have much ghrelin. So ghrelin is GHRELIN, and basically it's a hormone that actually helps to control appetite and tells you that you're full. So some people have very little of this being produced, and so you, again, volume size food, you might be hungry, you know, you might be more hungry than somebody else. Some people tend to just not be hungry. Yeah, so it's like, you know, so there's so many different things, and how do we test that? That's tricky, right? So you definitely would need to do blood work. But I think what you're saying is, because she's been on and off, and at the end of the day, you can only starve yourself, and that's within your own parameter, for a certain amount of time. And after a while, your homeostasis says to you, I actually need to eat X, Y, Z. And I see this with my kids, you know, as a classic example. I see this with clients all the time, where you can't just say, take the carbs out, take this out, and then you'll be fine. Lovely. Maybe for some people that will work. But
Your body needs carbs as well.
all. Your body does need carbs. Some people, for example, so I'll give you an example of myself. I had myself tested a while ago now, maybe like almost 8 years ago, where I had a very thorough diagnosis of the amount of what I burn at rest, like what my body is good at burning. So I'm good at burning protein, really good at burning protein. I'm good at burning about 25% fat, and I'm good at burning a little bit of carbohydrate. So maybe it's like about 20%. So it's quite interesting because, you know, let's say, so I was on keto, and keto really worked very nicely for me. It made my brain very clear, but that's also because it worked on my blood sugars, and I'm naturally a sugar addict from being fed sugar when I was a little kid. So naturally, that's my go-to. If I'm stressed, I want to eat sugar. Like, it's like so I've had to train myself. But that's the same sort of thing of where you go off food, and then it's hard because you're constantly, it's like a discipline thing, right? Where you say, if I'm really, really strict, I'm going to be okay. But this is not, it's very challenging. So what you've got to try and do is actually to play around with those hormones at a regular level, then you do have enough. So there's been this new, I literally forgot the name of it. There's a new drug just come out on the market, and people are taking it, and there isn't too many side effects to it, and it increases ghrelin, and they've seen people, you know, have incredible changes to it, right? The changes in their body. The problem is that once they go off that, you haven't any change in
froze again.
We're back.
There
Tekla, I just love that behind you. No, the next call I'm going to do, I've got a very similar one, but it's fiberglass and it's all painted Mexican. Mine's had the makeover. Yours is pre-makeover.
I shot that one.
So just back to that. So,
I'm just picturing the next one is your husband's head.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not the ex-husband.
all I'm yes, don't cross Tekla. You'll be on that wall soon, be careful. So, this is interesting. And let's have a look at another drug that's been very, very successful and it's been for years, which is metformin, right? So metformin is very good at being able to slow down the uptake of carbohydrates and fuel specifically into the system, which then means that you're slowly absorbing energy and then actually stops your desire to want to eat so much as well. So those two, I will find out. If you message me, I'll give you the name of the new drug that they're giving to people at the moment, which increases the ghrelin. But, Nikki, if we think about your mum, and I do think that everybody has a sort of their circle of, where they're set at from birth. I really do think so. I don't think we're all supposed to be skinny belinky. I just don't. I think when I think about, certain, I'm going to come to you in 2 seconds. When I think about, let's think about the Dutch, right? So they're specifically Vikings, that sort of, they're strong. They're in cold climates. They're made specifically, like what you said. I love what you said, we're all supposed to be Eskimos. Maybe you are. Who knows, right? But I think, where you are, what your race is, where your genes come from make a big difference as to whether or not your potential to store fat is better than somebody else. And then we put everybody into that, one basket of just, cut out the carbs and just eat less and then you'll be fine. What's wrong with you? You're lazy, you're this. Actually, you find people who are a little bigger are usually the most unlaziest people. Yeah, they exercise a lot, they work hard, they don't necessarily eat that much. If you were to see, they eat the same thing. It's just that their body reads the information, the food, to what somebody else's body might read the information. And I think when we start talking about weight management, I think of it more of how does my body see food? How does it read food? And what does my body do when it sees when I take the food in? What information am I giving it? So today, Tekla, please. Sorry, I'm almost missed your question.
Well, I was going to say our family's always struggled with that, and it's like to look at me. You wouldn't think that I was obese or anything, but the doctors keep saying I am because they say my BMI is like 25, and I'm like, doesn't look that bad from the outside. But some things that I've been reading that at a cellular level, you've got all these receptors on your cell that accept, the hormones and the enzymes, and so the cell knows what to do. But if the receptors aren't functioning right, it doesn't matter if you're producing enough ghrelin or leptin or hormones or enzymes or whatever it is, it can't get to the cell for the cell to do its job. And there's evidence to say that starting even before you, that your mother has passed on that cellular expression gene for whatever you're dealing with. And it goes back to maybe your hypothalamus or pituitary gland, but like you say, might be a little toxic and telling the body what to do. And sometimes it's hard to get to that realization.
Yes, and in conjunction with that cellular, you also have, what's happening in the gut. And now the link between the gut, and we know that the gut flora is very transferred in vitro, right? So,
and the liver,
the gut
got to into that.
The gut you'll give your kids, and the liver, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's quite interesting. I've been doing quite a bit of research on the liver recently, just because, sorry, it's my dog. Trixie, yeah, go. She's got to go for her afternoon walk. Go. Oh, sorry. Out. And so, hang on, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Trix, come on, darling, this way. Good girl. Okay. Okay, I'm back. we're funny. So, and it's so true, Tekla. So I think this is what's important, and this is where we come in as health professionals, natural solution people. There are definitely things that can support you and help you rebuild that cell, can help you get at least that information into that cell, or at least have a cell. And I think, it's interesting when somebody was just saying to me the other day, just if I go on a fast, and if I do a 1 month, then I should be right back again. It's like, well, that could be very true, but it depends on how many years you've had of cell damage. So if there has been a lot of yo-yo, so let's look at your mum, for example, Nikki. She's probably done off, on for so many years that we almost need a readjustment sort of at a very base level to get her endocrine system happy, her hormonal system happy. And then we've got to say, what can we do to make the cell as healthy as possible? So we're going even deeper than that hormone level, even deeper than the endocrine level. We're going down into the cellular level. It's like, okay, at a basic cellular level, we want the cell wall to be lovely and fluid. We want it to be healthy, and we want the mitochondria to be active. Yeah? So how do we get mitochondria to be active? What do we do to make this cell? There's many things, and I think the slowly extracting certain foods that might not be so great. Yes, that's probably number one. I would sort of think inflammation first and foremost, and inflammation is different to every person.
Yeah.
So what might cause me inflammation might not be the same that causes inflammation for Pete. Pete has challenges with his skin. I've got challenges with my gut. So different foods will affect me and then may not affect Pete. Same with Tekla, so you've got to be quite specific when it comes to, I'm not going to say everybody off dairy, everybody off wheat, everybody off gluten, everybody off, at the end of the day, can't take everything out, but you can help your system by, what I want to sort of think of it is, put it in a little bit of adversity. So if you put your system in a little bit of adversity where it has to go back to working hard. So I know that I'm sort of contradicting myself a little bit, right? Because I've just said that the cell's already tortured and there's been toxicity and whatever. But actually, you've sort of, the message you've told your body is, I'm just going to give you lots of everything. I'm going to give you lots of stress. I'm going to give you lots of food. I'm going to give you lots of this. And then you're going to increase, all the systems are firing at range. So you've actually sort of said to your body, you don't need to work very hard because I'm constantly going to flood you with fuel. I'm constantly going to give you lots of stuff to keep you up. Pete, I see your little hand. Please come.
I'm just thinking back to like the Neanderthal days where we had to hunt and gather, and long gone are those days, but the genes, the genetic expression in our body is still that. Our body still thinks that we need to hunt and gather, but most of us are laying on the sofa and just watching Netflix and chewing on crisps. And so the only hunting and gathering we need to do is at probably Whole Foods, or unless you're like Tekla, go out and hunt and gather. What is it?
She's definitely out to
an 80-mile drive to the local supermarket. And so our bodies still are in that mindset of that hunting and gathering. And so what happens is that you just pack on the weight for wintertime, and
yes,
and get through summer. But there's a lot of research, isn't there, now about exposing your body to little stresses, and everybody knows about ice plunging and things, but Zosh, maybe go through some others, because there's probably a lot that we don't know about, like little ways that you can stress your body, which is a really good thing. And we, back in the day, you and I used to talk about how people's bodies used to plateau at the gym because they're doing the same thing all the time.
Yes.
The amount of research
Yes.
there is now is so exciting around longevity genes and little stresses to the body, which you can do just to shake you up a little bit. You don't need to be doing the same thing
Yes.
all the time. So maybe that would be really, really handy.
Yes.
I find that topic interesting.
I mean, I find having always exercise and always prescribing a lot of exercise to people, the interesting thing is that actually, when you look at the research of how quickly your body wants to get to a happy homeostasis from exercise, it's very, very fast. So after a month, if you do the same exercise, your body will go, okay, I got it now. So I've got that now. We're going to up the levels of energy, energy, what's the word I'm trying to say? Put energy output. And so your body will modulate to you need to eat more just by making you stronger. It'll modulate. Suddenly you go, I'm fitter. Brilliant, fantastic. The body is so clever at adapting. So the diversity that you're going to put in the body from an exercise view is changing up the exercise.
Is she waving the Wi-Fi away?
Mm.
Come on, Zosh, come back.
Maybe she should drive down to my house. Or to Glory.
Are you in Dubai as well, Nikki?
In Abu Dhabi.
Oh, okay.
Just
Okay.
an hour down the road. Yeah.
So my image of Dubai is that they have, everything possible, everything modern and convenient. So it blows
Yeah,
me
they
away.
do. But
Yeah.
obviously not in Sasha's house right now. Just
I
because
mean,
they've just moved in, they're just trying to
exactly. Yeah.
sort
Yeah.
things out.
Yeah.
It's okay. She's amongst friends, so
I'll pause our recording.
Sorry for the Wi-Fi. So, little changes in exercise. I think, the big thing I always find quite interesting is when people say, I need to go to the gym for an hour. So who said you need to go for an hour specifically? Actually, what you need to think about is the loading that you put onto your body. So I've been spending a lot of time teaching my teenage son, who thankfully has now become super excited about training his body and is super excited about going to the gym and lifting weights, and talks about bodybuilding all the time. And so we're having some very, very interesting conversations. And I'll often say to him, you need to keep changing up your program. You don't need to be in there for 2 hours, even though he enjoys going there for 2 hours. But from a muscle building point of view, if you really start doing small bursts, that can be super, super effective. Nicola, what you do, where you do your triathlons, that's also, if you suddenly go from the extreme of doing just a little bit and suddenly decide, actually, I might do a couple times a week, like a long, long, long session. And there's a great guy called Lenny Kravitz, not the rock band guy. He's an amazing, amazing sports scientist. And he's in Canada. If you want some information from him, I can send you lots of his research. And he really studies specifically exercise and exercise physiology. And the great thing about, he'll talk about for women to kick in a lot of the hormones that start to utilize fat, you actually need to exercise a lot longer. Yeah, like maybe not all the time though, right? So it doesn't mean that suddenly now you're going to do 1.5 hour walking or whatever it is that you're going to do. So can you see how just talk about exercise for the moment, in your exercise plan, change it up. Like I've been going to the gym, which has been quite exciting because I love watching other people train. It is so exciting. It's so interesting. And I'm often looking at them thinking, what is it you're doing? And what is it you're trying to achieve? What are you doing?
Why are you walking
Say that a
backwards?
lot. What are you doing? Why are you walking on your head? But it is interesting because I think it's just there's so much kudos. I say you're here, you're moving, excellent. Now what are you doing? Now what could my darling Tekla? You often walk 80 Ks. You're amazing. Thank you for waking up and listening.
Bye, Tekla.
But
See you soon.
it's that thing of being a little bit more specific. And so the adversity needs to come into, I'm going to do something a lot more intense for a shorter amount of time. And I might do that for 3 times a week. And then I'm going to change it. You have to keep changing it. The other thing when we talk about adversity is, taking the food. So Pete was talking about when we're hunting and gathering. So when you're hunting and gathering, there is times where you haven't got food. You're not going to die if you don't. I was trying to say this to my daughter who loves eating and loves cooking. And she's always about preparing herself snacks. And I just said to her, I just need to tell you, you're not going to die if you don't eat. It's going to be okay, right? You are fine. People go for days and days and days without eating and they're fine, yes? And I do actually suggest that there are times where you do. We're in Dubai, we're in Ramadan, so people are waking up very early to eat and then all day they don't eat or drink. So they're dry fasting as well. We can talk about this another time, but it's literally allowing your body to have that time where you're not flooding it with anything. Unfortunately, we had one of my husband's work colleagues here on Friday. He's fasting, and he was saying to me, what's happened, unfortunately, is that now Ramadan has become people have sort of jumped onto the wagon of Ramadan and gone, awesome, you're going to break fast and we're going to give you these massive buffets and banquets and you can come and feast yourself. And he was hilarious because he said to us the other day, because we had organized a feast actually, and he said, no, I'm just going to have a tiny amount. And he said, actually, the purpose of Ramadan is to clear the mind, to be peaceful, to be calm, to not be putting lots and lots of stuff into your body so that you have clarity. And it's not really about, yes, it's about family and getting together, but not necessarily feasting. And I said to him, I think it's amazing if everybody did that. I mean, it's 1 month. It's not just, a couple of days, and it's once a year. So again, you're putting your body into adversity. You're actually teaching it that you can survive without food. You can survive. And then when you're in those times of adversity, then it's popping it in or popping things in that can actually start to heal your cells. So, with doTERRA, we've got these amazing products, which they really are incredible. Like the Meta Power, which is the collagen, and this incredible component called NMN, which I'm not going to actually dissect for you. But what it does is a precursor to NADH, which is really about helping your cells reignite, if I can say, is asking the mitochondria to work again. And that's really what you really want to do when you're able to get your body into a state where you're not externally flooding it with so much. I mean, I'm sure, hi Tracy, I see that you've just popped on. I'm sure, because who's had some good experience with this? And I just want to know from an energy point of view. Nikki, you probably don't know what this is because I probably haven't shown you this. But it's like, okay, so hands up. Okay, Tracy, you're off the talking stick. You're on. Tell us have you been taking this? When have you been taking it and what have you felt?
Okay, I started taking it since last October after the
Yes.
MetaPower was launched, and I've been taking it every day in the morning. I prefer to take it early in the morning when I haven't eaten anything yet with an empty stomach, and I just use lukewarm water, and sometimes I mix it. Sometimes I would add a drop or two of MetaPower in it just to add more flavor to it. And for me, I really love that. It helps me with muscle recovery when I do my workouts. Like I can do longer workouts and I can just keep on going. And I went on a trip recently to the Philippines, and I have been getting a lot of feedback on having great skin. And I can link that to the Meta Power. I haven't been taking I have been taking my LLVs also, but I know that the collagen really helped a lot with the clear skin. So I think when other people actually validate you on that one, it does make you feel a lot better. And like sometimes I might not really see the difference in what I'm doing, but when other people notice, I think that's when you see that it's really working.
And I think so. If you sort of look from a science point of view of what is in here, so you've got lots of collagen, 12, Pete, 13.
There's 9 different types of
9 types
collagen.
of collagen. But you know what? I love it. I love it that there's 3 types of NAD boosting ingredients there. There's the NADH,
Right.
the
So
MN.
this is so. And what this does is really, it starts to change your DNA expression, if I can say. So I think this is what I want everyone to take away from today's session, is particularly not that I'm telling you to take this and then don't take this and then exercise more and do that, because you've already heard that before. Yeah. And if it was that simple, then everybody would be at their optimum nutrition, their optimal weight, whatever it is that makes them feel good, optimal energy. So I really think today is really for you to think, well, where am I at in that scale of I need a lot of cellular help, or I'm okay, or I need coaching, I need help in that aspect, and I need some supplements to give me that energy. It's tricky when I was chatting to a lady the other day in regard to, I'm sure we both got COVID, a couple of months ago, because it's taken a long time to feel energy again. And she said to me, I feel quite depressed because when I can't get out of bed and I don't feel fabulous, then I feel depressed because I think I'm getting old. And then when I think I'm getting old, and it sort of demotivates me, and it's like this spiral. And I could hear the I said, no. I've been there. I totally have been there. I know exactly what you're feeling, where you think to yourself, is there something wrong with me? Am I actually really, truly unwell? But when you're feeling, Pete, I'm coming to you, when you're feeling really flat and tired and then it's at a cellular level. It's, that, mitochondria is like your energy bundles. You have this ATP cycle, yeah? Think of it like a wheel that helps you move forward. So when that wheel's not rolling forward, something's, chugging it and holding it down. Pete.
I think when I talk to my clients, they're looking for a really quick fix. And the thing with health is that you just can't have a quick fix. You do need to find what works, and you need to stick at it. And consistency is so key. And Zosh, you just said it, like, this is cellular, and cellular takes time, and it's all about those healthy inputs. So whether it's thought patterns, and we know that a lot of weight loss is a side effect of having your body back in homeostasis and getting your body just back in that wellness zone. And whatever it is, it's different for everybody, like you said. But healthy inputs, whether it's healthy mindset, healthy food, all of these things, and they're going to give you then the healthy output, which is the energy. But if we're talking about energy, wow, it takes time to teach your cells how to create their own little energy sources. And Brendan Burchard talks about, your body is a power plant. The power plant needs to create the energy. It's not just energy, it needs to create that energy.
Yes.
And that comes from all of the inputs that you're putting into your body. So all the time, people are looking for fast fixes, but think about how long it's taken for you to get to this point. How long have people been sick? And then it's going to take time for your body to relax and repair and renew. And I think that's just a big point that we need to always talk about in our circles. Because people, when they start taking collagen, after one box, they're like, you know what, I felt something, but it's not really working for me. It is working for you. Sometimes your body isn't ready to accept these ingredients, and we need to prep the body as well, either through a cleanse or through different lifestyle choices, they will work and they continue to work. And it's something which I really would love more people to see how incredible these MetaPower products are, because they really, really do work.
And I think we talk about this a lot in lifestyle changes, that there's so many aspects of, like, Nikki, when we think about your mum, right? Like, how old would she be now?
She is 66.
Okay, 66. And so, I have a lovely client, and she, the same sort of thing. She was having some challenges, and she said, I just, and there were some profound changes we made that she didn't realize were affecting things like her blood sugar. And I said, if you're tired and you're this and you're that and you're putting on weight, and particularly around the tummy, that's, there's clear sort of guidelines where you say that's blood sugar. So you've got some challenges with blood sugar, and you need to monitor that blood sugar, and you need to help. So the choosing food, drink, that's something, yes, let's change that. But then, like what Pete said, it takes time, right? So I think the biggest thing is that routine. And what happens with a lot of people is they just get a bit bored, right? So there's some people who love the routine, and they love the discipline, and they love the, and they're quite happy to do the same thing every single day, blah, 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 blah. Then there's some creative people who are just a bit like, yeah, well, I've done that now. It's a bit boring. I want to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, sorry. I think also depends on how your relationship with food is. Like, if you enjoy different foods from different places, and you actually like it's a social aspect, and it's so it'd be very hard for me, for example, to just eat the same thing every week. I'd go mad. And I think and I think just seeing my mum kind of go through ups and downs, and also, like, she's retired, she wants to enjoy life now, gin and tonics are flowing on her. So it's kind of hard at the same time.
Yes,
I don't want to deprive them of having a good time.
No, that's my husband. I try and monitor him all the time, and he's always saying to me, I don't want to. I like this life that I'm living. And I said, yes, but I don't want to live on my own. I just want you to die. It's like, I'm not going to die. I'm too strong for that. So you're exactly right. I think it's a fine line, right? I think it's that fine line of finding a balance. And then, to me, there never really is a balance. I know people say balanced diet and balanced lifestyle, work-life balance, blah, blah, blah. I think it's a load of crock. I don't think there really is. I really think this is how life is. It's a little bit here. It's a little bit here. Oh, I'm here. Good. Yeah. Great. Oh, back here. Oh, it's always this. It's always a little, and the more we realize that that's what life, how it is, then actually you don't beat yourself up, and then you're less stressed about, like, oh my gosh, I'm a little bit here. Let it go. And that's a mental thing, right? That's where emotionally, I think that will help a lot when it comes to weight management, is because you're not totally stressed, but you're able to catch it before it goes boom, right off.
Yeah, because then cortisol levels,
here you go,
they're high.
I need to go back here.
They affect it, don't it? Isn't it?
Yes. Totally. I was just explaining to my son, God, he would hate if I knew I was talking about him, but he said to me, Mum, when you have, because the big thing with teenagers, right, is pre-workout. So they before they work out, they have pre-workout, which is basically copious amounts of coffee and caffeine. Sorry, copious amounts of caffeine. So they have this caffeine, and they go and then they pump in the gym. So it's taken me pretty much 3 months to explain to him, you could give yourself real heart problems by taking this stuff. And then you affect your adrenal system, because you're constantly stimulating the adrenal system, and you're constantly stimulating and telling it, it's in danger, right? It's in danger. And the great thing that he's just realized is, he said, when I have the pre-workout, I have a really bad stomach. Like, I have diarrhea and my stomach's not great. And I said, okay, so good. I'm glad that you've experienced that. Let me explain to you why that happens. Because you've stimulated the fight or fright system, which means that really you need to be, it's as if you're running away from some gargantuan, scary creature. And what your body does, it says, if I'm going to fight this creature, I need to get rid of my whatever's in the digestive system in the bowel. So that's essentially what happens. You have the adrenals and all the hormones kick in, the digestive system gets empty, and then you're free to fight and do whatever you need to do. But no one's fighting some crazy animal that's actually hunting them down. They're just, doing a small workout, or they're doing something like this. So it's a good connection where you say, actually, that's affected my stomach. That's affected your stomach because it's you've gone overboard. The adrenal systems are overstimulated. Tracy, comment.
Oh, it's more of, I wanted to add on to what you guys were talking about, because you guys are talking about like balance in eating, and there's a term that I learned recently when I was learning about managing digestion. About it's called metabolic flexibility. So it's about being able to manage the food better with support on supplements. So I think that like for me, that's where the MetaPower line really helps. Because for example, I'm a sweet tooth and I really crave for sweets. I have grown up like loving and having the hunger for sweets. And I find it that after I've been taking the MetaPower products, I felt that I've really been able to manage better. So like curbing cravings and being able to choose when to take it and when not to. Like I can choose just take a bite of a cake and maybe not finish the whole cake.
Yes. Do you know, Tracy, this is such a great thing, because what I wanted to say is, when you are starting your journey into kickstarting, getting yourselves happy, getting them healthy, wanting to lose weight or whatever that is, I often think it's the first stage, that stage where you crave sugar a lot. And then if you have something that helps you to lessen that craving, and then suddenly you go over the other side, then actually you won't crave it anymore. So when I was full keto and I trained my body to use the fat and to not need the glucose so much, it was tumultuous to get to that stage. But once I got there, then actually I never even craved the sugar anymore. I never needed it. It's almost like I was already satisfied from, and that was fantastic. But it takes you to eat the sugar again, then boom, you're straight back over again. So I just wanted to very quickly say that this one, the MetaPower, and it's the billy, right? In there. So work on slowing uptake of the carbohydrates. And so this is a really nice thing to get a little bridge, right, to help you decide. I wonder if I've frozen again. Oh, are you aware?
Yes, we hear you. It gets cut off a bit, but I can hear you.
Back. I don't know where I lost you, but I was just saying that the berberine and the mulberry in the MetaPower really works nicely to be that bridge, right? To help push you to that side where you're not craving everything again. And a lot of time when I give people supplements, or they say to me, do I have to take this for life? And I said, well, it depends on how tortured you are, how tortured your cells are. I wouldn't say that you need to take everything all the time, but I definitely think to get you over to one side, you need a good period of time, and you need a set overload, if I can say, or teaching your body that actually this is the norm to set you up and then to allow you to have better habits, down the track. And Tracy, I'm exactly the same. Yeah, and naturally a sugar addict, naturally tend, and if I start to eat more sugar, it flips me back over here again. And so, to have little tools, it's not just willpower, right? You are asking your cells to work differently. You're asking your hormones to work differently.
Oops, we probably lost Zosh here. But we'll see if she'll be coming back. Hi, Nicola. I just wanted to maybe can chat a bit while Zosh is trying to come back.
Tracy, did Zosh drop out again?
Yes.
Was she at a really good point, or should we finish the call, do you think?
Yeah, well, she was just talking about the
She's back.
sorry.
Back in a different location.
A different location. I'm so sorry. I'm like, my goodness. I promise next week I'll be right next to the router.
You're like, we're getting a view of your whole house.
I know, it's a tour.
Oh, I won't show you the bits that I haven't finished yet. There's my bedroom, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm conscious of time as well. I've had you all for an hour, and I know you've all got other things to run off and do. But I think, there is more to chat in sort of this topic, but we've definitely over the next 3 weeks, we're going to cover, repeat ourselves a little bit here and there and cover a few more that may not specifically be about weight loss, but then are all sort of very much towards the same area. Any questions or comments?
I'm happy to see my Buddha there on the top shelf.
Oh, darling, it's the monk. Where is he?
Just there.
Oh, yes, yeah,
In the
there.
middle. Hey, monk.
He made it. He made it. After how many years, right?
That's a long journey and a long time.
Exactly. There's a lot of things here. As we were laughing, when you don't have any furniture, you suddenly just think, well, I don't even need any of this stuff. I don't need all those clothes. I don't need all the shoes. I don't need it. Actually, I feel better without it. It was like a cleanse. But then when your stuff comes and you realize the history and the story that everything has, you go, oh, that's right. That's from this person. That's from this person. And it's, oh gosh. And how
I'm glad that
special
wasn't my
everything
monk.
is. That was lunch that I haven't eaten.
And it takes, those little things take the house into a home, and it totally
Exactly.
transforms the space here. All those little stories.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it also means
So,
you can sit down.
Poor Nikki has been to stay, and I had to put her on a blow up bed. She was camping with us, and then now she's like, oh my gosh, there's actually a sofa I can sit on.
So good. So good.
We had a friend stay, and he just said he was really tired. I think he was just really, really overworked in Hong Kong, and he came to stay, and he said, there's nowhere to lie in your house. And I said, I've got a yoga mat. I've been lying on the yoga mat on a roller. Do you want to lie on the mat? And he said, no, that's not very inviting.
I'm sure you've got it set up gorgeous now.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
Thanks, Zosh. I have to run. You have a great day.
Yes, thank you, everybody, and thank you so much. Listen, I'll fill you in on next week's topic. I think it's bone health next week. So bones and strength. We're talking about strength training and getting stronger and feeling better that way. So let's get into the bone talk.
Great. Bone nutrient.
Thank you for dealing with the Wi-Fi.
Bye, Nikki. Bye, Tracy.
Bye.
Bye, Tracy. Bye,
Thanks, Josh.
Nikki.
Great call.
Thank
Bye,
you,
Zosh.
darling. Thanks, Pete. Bye.